Hi and welcome to the Weekly Wrap. Today Tina and I will be talking to you about the latest rental reforms that came into Parliament and were passed on the 6th of June. Firstly, we'd like to talk about rent bidding. Whereas in the past a tenant might have offered more rent for a property when it was advertised, for example advertised at $500, someone might have put in an offer for $520. In the past that may have been okay to be acceptable. Now it is illegal, so no more rent bidding. No tenant can make a higher bid on rent than any other tenant. The tenancy must be advertised at the price, and that is the price that it must be rented out at. If that is found to be false, there are very large fines involved.
Also, we can no longer take 6 months rent in advance, so if a tenant does offer such a situation, we have to decline that on behalf of you landlords, or our landlords. That is also an offence against the Act to accept that. So basically at the start of the tenancy, they pay their first 2 weeks' rent. During the tenancy, however, they do have the capability of paying additional rent 3 to 6 months in advance, but that cannot be a condition of accepting the property for that particular tenant.
Although these laws were passed in Parliament on the 23rd of May, they came into law by assent on the 6th of June, which means we didn't actually know until the day of the 6th of June that these laws were now in place. What this meant for some of our landlords was that prices they had their properties advertised for were no longer lawful. So before, the rent increases were attached to the tenant, so a tenant could not have any more than one rent increase in a 12-month period. Now that is attached to the property. So if you had rented your property out previously for $700 a week, it must be $700 a week for 12 months. Even if it's off the market and you put it back on the market, it must be $700 a week. Unfortunately, that has probably caught a lot of us by surprise. Some owners have done renovations recently hoping to get more rent. That is not the case. If the property has been advertised within a 12-month period at a certain price or has had a tenancy attached to it, that can no longer be advertised for a greater amount. With regards to the rent being attached to the property and not to the tenant, there is provision in the Act now that if an owner is suffering hardship and they feel that their property is worth more than the advertised rent or more than the rent that the tenant is paying in that 12-month period, there is provision for them to apply to QCAT for an order if they can prove hardship and they can prove that their property is under market. So that might be something that may come up.
If you're uncertain about what this means for you, please reach out. We'd be happy to take a deep dive into your property and give you more advice around it all. That's all from us. Thanks for tuning in and we'll see you next time.